Okay, so
Bum-ba-da-ba.
we're talking we're talking about everything as far as would you date a bus driver?
Would you date a bus driver? Do you
So
want my answer now?
no, I don't. The premise of the episode is really to respond to a viral clip that went crazy on the internet when a woman was talking to Ivania. Or how you say her name?
Iyanla.
Iyanla, whatever. Iyanla. And the question she asked, was it? No,
Would you date a bus driver?
I'm trying to remember the woman's name, but
Oh,
uh,
insert name here.
yeah, we'll insert the name. But she asked her, she said, "Would you date a bus driver?" And her response sent the whole internet into a frenzy.
A huge frenzy.
Men were pissed. Men were triggered. Women were triggered. A lot of people was triggered off of this one response. But I thought it was a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
And we both have some thoughts on it, but I think it's time to talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it.
What was that about?
It's a little burp. Roll the tape.
I smell it. Oh my god!
It barely even came
No,
out.
I smell it.
Okay.
I be doing that too. Like
No, your burps do stink.
I'll
Anyway.
burp and I won't even smell it.
Meanwhile, the other person is about to pass.
Right. But yeah. So we're gonna play the clip because everybody needs to hear what she said, how she said it,
Yeah.
and what their thoughts on it. I'll be curious to know what people's thoughts was when it came to her asking, like, would you date a bus driver?
Would you date a bus driver? You. Would you date
If
a bus
he owns
driver?
the bus. If he owns
No.
it. If he owns the bus,
See, that's a
Iyanla.
problem. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay.
Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus.
And when I sent you the clip, what was your initial reaction when you heard what she said?
Well, I think one. Okay, you said initial, so not my processed thoughts.
I want both, but first start with the
my
initial.
initial response was like, "That's crazy," and not crazy in the sense of saying that you wouldn't date a bus driver. Because if you ask me that question, my answer is no. My answer is just no. Her answer was, "Why are you laughing?"
No, no reason.
That's just my answer. My answer is no.
Okay.
But it wasn't about that. Her answer was no. That wasn't her answer. Her answer was if he owned it. And it brought me back to this whole sense of what is the dating standard where women want somebody who's established to that level. Now, processed,
Yeah.
if you look through the comments and now you understand the context, because I think obviously when it comes to social media, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to podcasts, when it comes to shows, when it comes to all of this stuff, you're going to post what you know is going to get engagement.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
what you hope is going to get engagement. So a lot of people are responding out of context of the conversation.
Right.
And the conversation was actually about her personal levels of success. And based off of her personal levels of success, what was her preference in the dating pool.
Right. Correct.
So when you go based off of the actual context, her levels of successes, which I don't know the details in particular, but let's say I know she is at least worth multiple seven figures.
She's a lawyer, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're a big time lawyer. You've made a lot of money, and if your response to based off of age, thinking of women, let's say she's 34, 35, right? And you're a multimillionaire. Are you looking for a bus driver? No. And the way that the clip is curated for what it did. What it was supposed to do. It did.
She had a long pause and was like, she kind of like fluttered
Because she
her
didn't want to
eyes.
just say no.
She kind of rolled her eyes before she answered the question. Like, if he owned the bus, and that's like
Right. And so that's the thing. The post did what whoever posted it originally and chopped it up how they did, where they did. It did what it was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But in context, if you're looking at her life, I can't blame her for saying that's not my preference for where I am. You know what I'm saying? And, there's a lot of mixed thoughts in regards to it, because some people are like, well, why wouldn't you date a bus driver? What's wrong with a bus driver? See, and men are like, that's women problem. All they want us for is for our money. So the only way she'll date a bus driver is if he owned it. I'm like, he wouldn't be driving it if he owned it in the first place, because that's weird in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
somebody call out sick, might have to step in.
I mean, yeah, I get that, but he wouldn't be driving it more often.
More often than not.
Right? No. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with her comment. I think she should have just said no. But I don't think her saying no would have still had an uproar.
Oh yeah.
But it was the fact that she said only if he was the owner of it, only if he was prestige, only if he was elite, basically is what you're saying. You're saying anybody who would be beneath the owner, I could not do. But in context to who her life is, I can't blame you for that being your preference.
No,
Initial reaction.
My initial reaction?
Mm-hmm.
My initial reaction was like, how dare she?
Why? How dare she?
Because she immediately went to if he owned it, and I think it's a bit ignorant in a sense, because just because you own it don't mean you making the most money. And I think she just went initially to
who
monetary.
Would be making the most money.
Yeah, she went to initially the monetary gain of it, like who's making the most money. And my thing is, she's about what, 40 something, going on 50 maybe. I don't know. I don't want to put her age out there.
I said she was 35. You said she 40 something, going on 50.
She's definitely not 35. That's for one thing. Let's be honest. She's not 35. We'll put her real number, her real age probably, if we can find it. But if you've gone through life, 45, and you've had failed relationships and you don't have anybody right now, there has to be some internal self-realization.
Yeah.
And for me, what it said was, oh, that's why she ain't got a man.
Oh, that's what a lot of men said though.
And the thing is, it's not that her preference was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's her approach to it.
So you saying her tone wasn't proper and how she said it or how she went about it? Because how else do you personally express basically you're saying that she was just distasteful in her desire to not have that.
She was distasteful, and she was also dismissive. She was distasteful and dismissive to the hardworking man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you went straight to the owner, but what if the owner was a cheater? So the bus driver, he was faithful to you. He provided money. You know what I'm saying? He provided things. He provided more than probably monetary gain, security, all these type of things outside of what he did for a living. But she automatically went to monetary gain, and that's a trigger for men. And I think that's why my initial thought was like, oh, now I see why she's single. And I mean, to dig a little deeper, she had a fiance, an ex-fiance, and I believe he was a white man, which is a whole nother thing.
Okay. And what about that is other?
Well, because she tried to defend herself, saying like she was saying this as a motivator for the black
Now,
race.
I thought that was terrible to say. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, all right, so you're basically saying that the only way that a man will be of value to a high, nobody ever says high level women, but a high level woman is if, or I need to motivate men to want to desire to be that. And I think one of the issues with that in millennial dating, obviously I'm not dating, but I think one of the issues with that from my peers that I talk to that are still single and still in the dating world is that the expectation is so high that there are, and this is not even just what I know from people that are dating. This is what you see all over social media. This is why they saying cancel all podcasters and podcasting is the new crack epidemic in the black community. But because people are really, they're not even actually, I don't think people are really focused on podcasting for what podcasting can do versus how viral they can go. And
Correct.
I think when you're looking at some of these posts, I saw one today and a girl was like, I got to find out. Did I send it to you? Oh, I hope I sent it to you. But the girl was saying like, a man needs to be a man. He needs to provide. And I don't care if you need to get 2, 3, 6, you need to go get 7 jobs and a part-time job and a side hustle so that you can give me what I want. And I think that's the actual issue. And I think that's where millennial men are looking at millennial women, where it's like, yo, y'all have high standards. And I think there's one thing to say like, this is my preference, but I want to know when the preference started to become that. Because thinking of like meeting you at 20, I wasn't thinking of, I need a nigga that has all his life together.
Right. No, definitely not.
I wasn't
we
thinking
wouldn't be together. If you were thinking-
definitely, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it, if you are comparing me to that original video, right? I technically, in that relationship, in that circumstance, in that situation at that time, was the high level woman. I had a government job, although I only worked in the summer. But it's like my summer income allowed me to come back to school with $10,000 saved up. That's not including what I spent over the summer. That's not including what I did over the summer. That's what I saved up. That's not what I had to pay for in bills or tuition and all that stuff like that. That's just what I had left over.
Right.
And you were making $50 a week. You were working you had a work study situation. And so when I'm looking at that, in that situation, technically, I'm the high level person. Then while we're at school, you're doing work study and I got a $200 a week check coming in from church. You know what I'm saying? And so when you look at it, I'm the one bringing in the money, but I'm not looking at you for, and obviously we were younger. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about 20, 21, 22. But I'm not looking at you for that. Even when we moved to Atlanta and I came with my savings and you found a job, I wasn't looking at you like, it took you what, almost 2 months to find a job?
Yeah, I was out here.
I'm not looking at you saying, oh, my man is a bum because he can't find no job. You literally just graduated from college. Literally just graduated. This was your first job out of college. We moved right after college. And so obviously that's not everybody's circumstance. If you're dating in your 20s and your early 30s, late 30s, that's not going to be everybody's circumstance. But I am very curious to know, at what point did everything change to, I need somebody that's established, and why is that what you want? And typically when I talk to women who say that's what they want, it's only because they want to do nothing.
So I think that's what's triggering for men, is that it's not coming from a high standard. It's coming from a high level of selfishness. You know what I'm saying? There's no selflessness when it comes to, you're only worried about, like that statement you said about she want her man to work 7 jobs to provide for her.
Just to give her what she wants.
Just to give her what she wants.
Provide for me is something else.
Yeah, because a man wants to provide regardless.
But providing is necessity.
Exactly.
Providing is not about wants. It's about needs.
Wants. Exactly. It's about.
And so for her to say, give me what I want, if you ask her in that moment, I'm pretty sure if the video was extended and somebody said, what do you want? It's never going to be a roof over my head, food on my plate. That's not the stuff that is being discussed anymore. It's about having the luxury vacays.
Trips out the country.
Trips on trips on trips. I want you to take me shopping. I want to be going to nice dinners. It's like most of, let me not say most. Prior to like 2018, 2019, I had never been to a Ruth Chris.
That's crazy. Yeah, me
you know
too.
what I'm saying? I thought Carrabba's was great because that was like the high level. My parents used to go to Ruth Chris by themselves.
Oh wow!
The first time my parents went to Fogo de Chao, we paid for it. You know what I'm saying? But we had never even been.
Yeah, we had never been.
You know what I'm saying? And I think me, you, my brother, my sister, we all put up for like giving them a gift card for their anniversary. We sent them to Fogo de Chao. But you and I had never even been. The first time we went to Fogo de Chao was when you got your car with your refund check from college. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I
like,
remember that.
we're looking at the aspects of, okay, when do most women, before this current lifestyle that everybody wants to live, and it's all curated for the gram. It's like, I want the real. I want to be able to show the lifestyle. I want to be able, there was another clip, we're going to put these all in there, obviously, on Married at First Sight. It's a show I watch all the time. And this is where for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, it's where couples do this experiment, or individuals do an experiment where they have experts match them with who they believe their perfect match would be. And they meet at the altar, they get married, and they do this experiment for 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, they decide if they want to stay married or get divorced, right? There's this one couple, young lady, she's a realtor, Nashville realtor. Doesn't say she's successful. Doesn't say she's not, but she's a realtor.
Okay.
And her match, he is Jesus Christ. Her match, he is like a adjunct type, like he works in the admissions department of a college.
Okay. Yeah. He's in education.
Right. So he's in education, but he's also still in school. So she takes him to a house to do some dream building. And they're walking around and talking about their future. I can see, us having kids here, and this room will be for this. We can have Thanksgiving in this big old kitchen. And then they sit down, and she said, yeah.
Still paying for my degree. It's like, I just want to make sure that I'm financially stable to afford this lifestyle for us.
As long as we, continue this marriage, you have to get us a house. You have to buy us a house.
I will have to buy it?
Mm-hmm. So I could say my husband bought me a house.
So you don't want to have no parts in helping me buy the house?
I mean, I'll be on the deed.
How does that work?
Oh, it works every day in marriages.
You been married before?
In other people's marriages I know about. Oh. Their husband bought them a house, a car. I mean, especially if I'm pushing out kids. Those are some good push gifts.
We can, Shaquille, let's save to work towards buying a house together. It was just Shaquille, no, you gonna buy me a house.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on the buying you a house.
Us a house.
You said you. You said buy my wife a house.
Yeah.
If men have not already felt like my value is only in what I can give you monetarily and sexually, we're making it known that that's all I want from you in the first place.
I was gonna say that's why it was so triggering for men, I believe, because men already put their value on things that they can provide monetarily. So when you dismiss a whole entire group of people, now it's like, okay, then what if that's all you want from me? That's all you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all you want from me, why do I need to be in this relationship and commit to you? Because at that point they're feeling used. You know what I'm saying? And because she was so dismissive to one group of people, it looked like a bad look. It looked like, okay, she's not going to find somebody not because her standards is too high.
Mm-hmm.
It's because she's not thoughtful enough about the other person.
Interesting. Elaborate.
So, like what you said, am I willing to build with somebody? Now, granted, she's older woman, so
right.
People in her pool more than likely would have something together. They will have themselves together.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: she fell for the trap that Iyanla gave her.
Easy. I mean,
because
she dropped the bait right in front of her. She jumped right into the trap.
Because the bus driver, she wasn't using that. As a legitimate thing. It was figuratively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It was a metaphoric thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was to see where your mindset was,
mm-hmm.
and that's what she was trying to get to her and try to get her to see is that's the issue. It's not that you don't want somebody that drives a bus. It's that your mindset literally repels you from the men that you say that you want. You want security. You want a provider.
Mm-hmm.
You want a hardworking man. You want somebody that's going to be about you. But then, as soon as they don't have this one thing, they're X'd off the list.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
And if it continues to be a deal breaker, you're going to find yourself in endless, these dead end relationships, honestly,
mm-hmm.
because everyone's not going to have everything.
That's true.
And you can't have everything at one time.
How do you, well, I guess as an advocate for the other side though, it's like, what do you say to the person? And this could be men or could be women, but what do you say to the woman that already feels like I have built up my life in particular? What do you say to that woman where she doesn't feel like my standards aren't high? It is my preference at this point. If I'm a celebrity, let's say she's an actress or she's on, let's say she's on Tyler Perry Sisters or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
what am I supposed to say now? Oh, okay, cool. I'm cool with being with a garbage man. Is that what men are looking? Is that what was the proper response? Is basically what I'm saying. What should she have said for men to not have felt so offended?
I think it's how she could have responded. More so could have been more not apologetic, but more so sincere about. I understand the question that you're asking me, like what I did a bus driver. I need more for her. She should have asked for more context because she was about to go down a rabbit hole. But anyway, the better response would be to acknowledge the hardworking man. And be like, I understand that, being a bus driver, that's a hard job. That's a hardworking man making an honest living. And I want any man that makes an honest living. She could have left it. I want any man that makes an honest living.
But that's not what she wants. That wouldn't have been true to what she was also saying.
The owner makes an honest living. The bus driver makes an honest living. Here's the thing. It's inclusive, but still seclusive to her need and her want. You see what I'm saying? But it's still an inclusive thing.
So for me, am I being superficial by also saying I would not?
No. So it's not about that. I think this is where I think women are getting it confused. It's that it's not what you said, it's how you say it. And then in the tone she said it and all the things that came with it afterwards, because she tried to she went down this rabbit hole of why she said what she said, but it wasn't helping.
It was making it worse.
It was making everything worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And too many times they say like, this is my preference. Yes, that's your preference. But acknowledge why things haven't been working for you thus far. Because if it was your preference, you would have it. If that's what you attract, you would have it. So there's no self-reflection, but there's also no accountability as to why these women that may have this standard, whatever the standard is, why you're not catching the standard that you set so high for yourself. Maybe
your standard is too high.
No, maybe you're not the standard that you're looking for.
I agree with that 1,000%, because you I feel like it's like, what was that movie? Think Like a Man, where Taraji is her. And
yes, that's exactly the character
the
she's
big
playing.
CEO, the boss. You know what I'm saying? You got everything together.
It was a good depiction of that example
Right.
of that relationship. That was a good depiction.
He's a waiter
of it in real life.
He's a waiter.
Yeah,
you don't know that because you just see him outside.
Exactly.
Just regular. He's a waiter. You got the bomb D. He's a great guy. You love his personality, and then you find out he's a waiter.
Find out what he does.
But she didn't realize his goal was what she started to fall in love with before she got superficial and saw somebody who she thought was now of caliber and that she should have been with based off of her standards. She started to fall in love with where he saw himself going, which goes back to the whole thing that we always talk about, is being willing to build with somebody. And although she was already established, she could buy into, this is just his circumstance right now, but this is where he wants to go. And I think one of the biggest things for me when it came to being with somebody is being with somebody who I knew wanted to go somewhere. And one of the first conversations you and I had, I think that first summer that we was talking was like, yo, what do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in school for business. I sure as hell didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to know what you wanted to do. And when you started talking about philanthropy and I just want to be a full-time investor, and neither of us knew what that would look like.
None. Yeah, not at all.
But I feel like even down to every opportunity, business opportunity, things that were coming my way, it was easy for me to remember, like, oh, this is perfect. This is actually curated towards both of us because his objective is to be a full-time investor. I remember we first moved, we went to this Rich Dad, Poor Dad investment event or whatever, I invested into the investment classes, and I only invested because you had to work. You know what I'm saying? Like I went because you had to work, but I know that's what he wants. I know that's where he sees himself. Even now to this day, like we literally just had a conversation on Sunday of like, or Monday, one of those days where we were talking and we were just like, what's the new vision for our family? Typically people only talk about this at New Year's. Where do we see ourselves? What is the next thing? Because we have spent so much time curating our life around what was next, but we kind of got away from that thing, and we got away from building a vision together. But as a woman, when you have a man that tells you where he sees himself, regardless of where he is, there's something about that that can always give you security, even if there is none, if you trust him, if you choose to trust him. Because, you know, for sometimes it's like, that's not enough for me, which is cool if that's what you think or what you feel. But I think security comes in knowing that he sees himself going somewhere. That's why in all those older movies, that's why I say, when did things change? Because even when you go back to stuff like Think Like a Man, everybody's like, Steve Harvey, you out here giving out too much game. You out here telling them all our business. Like, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, that's where women started asking, well, what's your 5-year plan? what's your 10-year plan? And but it's like, y'all didn't like it, but it's like, I want to get into your mind. Show me how to feel secure in your vision. Show me how to feel secure. I'm not looking to see where you are today if that's not where you see yourself. And I think from a man's perspective, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think men have gotten away from that too, because there's such this sour taste in their mouths of women only want me for my money.
Yeah, I think this is a two-sided thing. Men have gotten away from being a visionary or having a not even having a plan, explaining their plan and their vision to a woman. Mm-hmm. But I think it's also on the flip side of that, women have not positioned themselves to be a helpmate. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what men are looking for. They're looking for a helpmate. They don't like Taraji P. Henson in what was his name, Mike Ealy, in that movie. He didn't care how much money she made. Mm-hmm. He didn't care she was this big CEO and was, you know, had this crazy life. He didn't care about any of that. What he cared was she going to accept him for what he did and then believe in him for what he wanted to do? Was she going to help him get to that place? That's all he cared about. But as soon as she found out about what he did for a living, she only cared about status. And that's where women mess up. They care about status too much.
Which is true. But I think what has to happen sometimes is you have to see what status gets you, which is where Morris Chestnut comes in. Let's there, talk about our dark and chocolate, and he got on his nice clean suit. He take her to the fancy restaurant she used to eat at, blah, 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 where he's also still waiting. Yeah. And what she realized is that the status was just as superficial, and there was no conversation. He didn't ask her once about her.
Exactly. I was about to say that. Yeah.
And he only talked about himself.
Business, himself. He was self-centered.
Money and how great he was at that point. Because he has done all that. Yeah. And he's not really looking for anybody to believe in him because he's believed enough in himself to get to where he got to without a woman. So now it's finding a woman that could just fall in line with the greatness that is me.
He's actually like more than he's cautious of you now because you are a threat to his wealth.
You're a threat to his.
You know what I'm saying?
No, you're more of a threat to his superiority.
Yeah, superiority.
You're more a threat of it's like when you look at that kind of situation, is he looking at, I don't want to bring you around my guys because I don't want them talking to you about your business. And that's when you end up with couples that are subconsciously in competition with each other for no reason. But I think there's another element of high successful people being in relationships where it's like, if I am somebody that is super successful and I have high level success, I want to be with, and I've heard this from my friends that are multimillionaires, it's like, I want to be with somebody of that standard simply because I need them to have their own thing. I don't need them waiting around and like waiting on me to be done with what I got going on. Or I need somebody who also has that same level of ambition at least, or hunger or drive or whatever, so that you're not looking at me saying I'm working too hard, I'm working too long, I'm doing all this. Like, we have a mutual understanding because you too are in pursuit of your goals and your vision.
So just going back to what she was, her initial response. I think this is what happened, is that she was thinking about, okay, if he's an owner, he has the ambition, but if he's the bus driver, he doesn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what you're saying, is that just because he's not at a status that you may want him to be at, doesn't mean that he's not looking to go towards, upgrading his life and growing his wealth and growing himself. That doesn't mean that he doesn't want those things. And I think sometimes we can equate that. This is, men and women, we can equate that to if they have a regular job, especially today. Like, people think having a job is like the worst thing in the world.
The bummy is, you got the steadiest income though, but don't mind me.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people make it seem like, okay, this person working a job, they ain't got no ambition, they don't want nothing better for themselves. Like, that is not the case. You know what I'm saying? And you don't ever get to know that, because you don't get to know them. You know what I'm saying? You'll never be able to know what their aspirations are, their desires are, and their potential and their skill sets, and where you can actually fit yourself in there and help them actually attain some of those goals. You don't get to even experience that because you already X them out. And I think that contributes to the issue of, one, dating nowadays. Now, of course, we don't know completely how the dating scene is, but we have friends, and we ask them all the time that are dating, and we ask them all the time, like, what's the experiences? And people are experiencing this. People are not getting to know one another. They're sizing each other up more than anything.
Right.
And I think it's kind of disheartening, because it's almost like, it's cool to take your time, but you don't need to be on the job interview your first date.
Yes.
I don't think you need to be on a job interview. I think you need to enjoy the moment.
Yes.
Enjoy the moment, and get to know this person, because you asking them all these different questions of okay, what's this plan? What's this plan? What's this plan? Well, life changes.
But I also think
that's not real life.
That I get what you're saying, but I also think it's how the question is asked. The way you just gave it was definitely in a interview style manner. It's like, for me, it's like, what do you do?
Right.
You
Now, if I did trash,
let's do it. Let's
not. I mean, not reacting
let's
it,
role
but
play.
we're not gonna role play. But all right. But if I told you, if you asked me what I did, and I told you, I'm a sanitation engineer. That's the name of the term.
The truth of the matter is, I 1,000% wouldn't know that was a garbage man.
You wouldn't, but that's the job title, a sanitation engineer.
Okay.
What would be your response?
Well, again, in my real time response, I don't know that a sanitation engineer is a garbage man.
Well, I pick up trash for a living.
Okay. How long you been doing that?
You're laughing already.
How long you been doing that?
It's the fact that you are laughing already.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at how this is going.
5+ years. What's the silence? Because what men can see in real time is the actual thought process to a woman when they hear something that they don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Part of me, looking at you in particular right now, part of me thinks you're lying. Part of me feels like you're testing me, which could be true.
That could be true too.
The other aspect of this for me, I'm out of touch. My game is a little off right now.
No, I understand that.
Because typically I feel like I would have something to say, but I wasn't expecting that, which I get it. But it's like, okay, cool. I mean, like,
it's not nothing. I don't want to know what you would respond. I want to know what would you be thinking.
Oh, what would I be thinking?
This date is going nowhere after this. Is that what you're thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no.
If it was me today, perhaps I could say that could be my thought, that this. But I also, I mean, that's me literally judging you just off of what you do. What if I really like you as a person? Obviously, I thought you were attractive enough for me to go on a date with you.
Exactly.
So what more is there to you? And this is also me speaking from hindsight, because I might not feel that in that moment when you dropped that bomb of being a garbage man. And that's why I said what I said. And when she answered that question of would you date a bus driver, she said she should have just said no. That's not my preference. However, I think if that's the beginning of our conversation, I got a long way to go, especially if you pick me up. So I better find something else to talk about besides just what you do for a living and how I might not enjoy that that's your job. You didn't come here smelling like garbage, so obviously that's okay. I think in my current age, now this depends on how old I would have been, because there was a period of time where I thought I was shallow.
Okay.
Because I couldn't deal with somebody based off of how they dressed.
Got it.
That was a real thing for me.
I remember you telling me that.
Yes, like it was a real thing for me of like, I didn't, first date, got out the car, attire was just wow. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Just off the outfit. But I already had been talking to them. This is why you see shows like Love is Blind.
Man.
And you know what I'm saying?
You already liked them for them.
Already liked you for your conversation, or, we vibed already. Didn't know that was how you looked.
That's funny.
I know how you look. I'm obviously attracted to you.
Yeah.
But this right here, I wasn't ready for. And in my mind, because I thought I was being superficial, because I thought I was being stuck up about that, was one of my determining factors of dating an individual, was because I didn't want to feel like I was being shallow because I didn't like something about them, which didn't actually work out in my favor. You know what I mean? Because that was not my preference from the get-go. My thought was, I could change it. Well, maybe if I put the clothes on you, if I buy the clothes, if I put on you what I like, but then you gotta have style to wear clothes.
So this was your preference, though. You're talking about your preference.
What I'm saying is,
what your thought process
my
was.
preference was not your style. Like, your style was not my preference. And from just that, I did not want to be on this date. I did not want to talk to you. We've been talking for a while at this point. But based off of that, I no longer want to be here. Okay. But because I thought that was superficial, I said, okay, how can I change it?
Got it.
Which makes it worse, because now it don't get changed. I just dressed it up, if that makes sense. And so I think it is important to be honest, to say that's not my preference, because you might end up in something for years at a time over trying not to seem shallow.
So let me ask you, if you're her and you done made 7 figures, what is it that a woman like that wants? Like, what are they actually looking for?
I don't know. I built with mine. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I get that, but I'm saying, like, think of it as a woman being established.
I think I would want somebody
who instead of just you're just in your career.
Right. I think I would want somebody that's also steady in their thing. Or even if you're in transition or you're in pivot, like, you know what you want, and you're working towards a thing. For me, it's always, this is just my personal preference is to see pursuit, because at the end of the day, even if you become successful at something, even if you make a lot of money doing it, you could literally wake up. We have both experienced this. You could wake up tomorrow and no longer want to do that thing. You have said countless times on the show that you didn't want to do what was making you the most money you had ever made. And one day you woke up and said, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Everything is great.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong. Everything is great. Everything is up. I just don't want to do this no more. So for me, it will be more so about you being in pursuit of said thing, you being okay in mastery, but having a plan. I grew up in a household with a father who was always about having a plan. And so I think for me, that's a really big thing. No matter who you are, I need to know you have a plan, because what I am looking for is security. What I am looking for is protection. And security isn't always monetary. Security is sometimes just in your vision, because I do want to follow somebody who trusts enough in themselves. I need something to believe in too. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my preference. I want to have somebody to believe in. I want to give my love to somebody's vision. I want to give my love to somebody's mind. I want to give my love to what you want and want you to believe enough. You go back, there's so many movies that depict this. Taraji obviously is typecasted.
I'm crying.
And you think about Acrimony. Acrimony is one of my favorite Tyler Perry films. But in Acrimony, right? She's with this dude. He's telling her about all his goals, all his visions, trying to come up with this invention, trying to come up with this thing for years. They are married.
For years.
She invested all of her money in him, and he cheated on her. One time,
yeah.
Or I mean, at the beginning of their relationship, cheated on her, and she becomes bitter over time. It's also important who's in your life, who's speaking to you, because I think sometimes those conversations and those comments aren't direct from you. Okay. Sometimes it's about who you with, who they with, or who they want, and now we can all attach ourselves to other people's opinions, other people's thoughts. And so based off of me bringing said person around my friends, but I know they want a high level man, and so if I bring around the garbage man or the bus driver, how they gonna see me?
I was like, is the social pressure?
Yeah, I was about to say a lot of it, because the situation that happens is, in this movie, her sisters are married to men that own a business together, a family business that they all work. They're not better off though, because it's not like they're more successful. It's not like they're making more money. But this is the thing, that they have a business,
right?
They have a job. They have a steady income. They have a job or whatever. So to her sisters, it looks like their husbands are doing better.
Right.
Because he's still trying.
He's trying to invent this thing. He's trying to sell it.
He's trying to sell it, right? Now that I got it to work, now I got to still shop it around. And she becomes bitter in having to work while you just out at home, still trying to figure it out. And it's still not working for decades.
Was it decades?
It was, because you got to remember, they met in high school.
Yeah, that's true.
Early college. You know what I'm saying? And even if you say it was 30, 32, let's say it was 30. But you've been together since you was 18.
Yeah, still at least a decade.
That's over a decade that I've been watching this and hearing people talk trash to me about even believing in you.
Yeah.
So what happens in the movie, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler, obviously I've given you the full movie at this point, but what happens is he finally becomes successful. He finally sells it, and everything that he said he wanted to give her, she had already divorced him by then.
Yeah, she already left him.
She didn't want nothing to do with him. She divorced him, and after the divorce, right before his divorce, actually, there was a friend of his, actually the woman he had cheated with, when they were kids. She sees him out of nowhere while he's shopping his stuff around, and she literally just spoke life into that man and said, don't give up, don't quit, whatever. And he didn't cheat with her or nothing like that again. He went home to his wife, but he believed in himself a little bit more, but it wasn't from who he needed it from.
Exactly.
And what happens is, she's so bitter, she's so upset, and she is so resentful that she feels like she's wasted her life believing in you. As soon as she decides to call it quits, everything that you needed took off. So now I'm watching another woman live the life you said you was going to give me, after I was the one who invested all my time and money into waiting for you to finally pop off.
Literally, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so in this, now it's like, well, now he has become successful. Now he has all these things that he said he wanted to give me, and the vision that I have been believing in for so long, but I stopped speaking life into it over time, because it wasn't quick. The other issue is that we're in a popcorn society. We want to see somebody start a business tomorrow and be rich by Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, now if you tell me you have a business, I need to see you working towards, and I need to see it making money in the next 5 months. And if it's not, then
we got a problem.
What are you doing?
Right.
And so that is a perfect example of like,
I'm about to say, what's the lesson in that, you think?
The lesson is, how long can you believe in somebody? And that's why I said I want to give my love to you in the sense of believing in you. When you wanted to do fashion, all right, I'm about a nigga sewing machine.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you said you want to make shirts, and you go into your friend's house to use their sewing machine so you can make clothes and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me go get you one. This is your birthday gift. You know what I'm saying? When it was investing, it's like, all right, cool, let's go to this rich dad, poor dad thing, or here's what I learned, or here, let's start learning about Forex. Even when it's like, even when you've been focusing on mastering that now, and it's been, even when it doesn't go good.
Yes.
Do I say, at what point you gonna get us up? Or do I say, what do we need to do it again?
Right.
What do you need? What did you learn?
Because it's a crazy journey. You know,
how do you get better? Like, what do you need from me? How can I support you? Because I understand what speaking life into the person that you love, the person that you want to love, or the person that you want to be with, speaking life into believing that. Like, you tell me, what does that do for you as a man, that somebody believes in you, even if you don't win this time?
I think that's what men need most. And unfortunately, that's what they do not receive the most. You know what I'm saying? And for, like I was saying earlier, men, they need a helpmate. They need somebody that can pour life into them. They don't care about anything that a female has or could do for them. They don't really care about that. They really honestly care about, does this woman care for me? Does she speak life into me? And can she help me get to where I know I want to get to in order for us to be better?
Mm-hmm.
That's solely what men care about. And when you think about men that have wives, they typically, those women typically personify that.
Mm.
And for any woman that's out there now that maybe you get into relationships and it kind of ends and you don't know why you keep going through the cycle, it's time to take self-reflection and see, am I being that for any man that comes into my life?
Mm-hmm.
Have I been that for men in my life?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know what to fix. Now we know what to change.
Do you think that's why there's been such a recent conversation on social media podcasts? Social media podcasts where men are saying, what does she bring to the table?
Yeah, I think it's a bit annoying when men say, like, what does she bring to the table? But this is what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
They don't mean what does she bring physically. We understand you're independent. We understand you got your own. We understand you can provide a life for yourself. That's not what we care about. When they say, what do you bring to the table? He's saying, what love do you bring to the table? What kind of love are you willing to share with me? Are you selfish?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can I count on you? Can you be my emotional support? Can you be my peace?
Mm.
This is what they're saying. That's what they're asking. Can you bring to the table? Can you provide a safe space for me? Can you believe in me when I don't believe in myself? These are the things that men are asking when they say, what does she bring to the table? And women are so triggered sometimes when they hear it, but men only say it because that's what they hear. That's what they hear from women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this constant battle. And until we start understanding each other and understanding what each other really need, one, within a relationship, but also in a long-term relationship and commitment, then we can begin to kind of move out this craziness that's going on. Because I feel like it's a lot of men against women today.
It is. And I think that's why
content and everything else.
That's why people are trying to swear off a podcast, because don't buy these black folks no other microphones.
Yeah.
Take them off the market, because I think it's the narrative that's being painted around relationships versus and I think that's what what we want to do is obviously spread love and give language to help people effectively communicate. I think that's one of our biggest goals with what we're doing is how can we help people get the proper language that we're utilizing, that we're learning in real time, you know what I'm saying, which like I said, it's like being able to support a person. And I think even when we talked about supporting and couples and relationships, I remember talking to my mom before, and like her knowing my dad wanted to pursue something, but she knew he wouldn't do it without her. Mm-hmm. But she had no desire to do that. And this is where you have that stronghold in couples having battles where it's like, why won't you join me in this endeavor? It's like, I support you in doing it. Go out and be great.
Go out and be great.
Go out and be great.
Do your thing.
But I don't need to be a part. I have no desire to also do said thing with you. Don't force me to do it. If that's what you need to win, tell me what you need me to do as a supporting cast to help you win while you go do that.
That's real.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the part of the show, the comment section.
Yes.
Where we just take a question from our audience that might have been said in the past and last season or this season coming, and see if it pertains to this episode. So
talk to me.
Let's see. All right, so this says, how has technology and online dating influenced your dating standards and experiences? Now,
how do we answer that?
We're not dating, but okay, let's think of it from this perspective. we have friends that are dating. We see people all day online that that are dating, that are out here dating each other. Now, what do you think from just seeing what you see on social media today? How do you think that would influence somebody's expectation in going on a first date or just dating in general?
Well, I definitely think the original thing is like you're putting all your best foot forward. Off top. I think prior to social media dating or like online, I guess I don't think we really did the online dating thing. We just utilized like what's his IG, what's his profile, like blah blah blah.
Yeah, Snapchat.
And Snapchat for us. But I think what it does is like you have a curated version of said person because all you're going to see is their greatness, all their highlighted moments, their best dresses, their best attire, their best moments in life. So you go in with it. You could go in with an expectation of this is who I expect you to be. Now we in a relationship, and I experience you with your first stresses. And I think because of what social media is and it being a highlight reel overall, just in general in life, I think there's a lot more relatable content these days. But most content is literally your highlight moments. And I think because of that, now in a relationship, if I meet that version of you, and that's not even just because of online dating, that's just in general. I think what relationships really have to be focused on is, can I deal with how you deal with your stress? Can I deal with how you are with your parents? What happens if you have a conflict with one of your siblings, or you have a conflict on your job? I remember there was this one time on your job where my car had broken down. We first moved to Atlanta, and my car had broken down, and your boss would not let you leave. You were down the street.
Yeah.
You were literally probably like 6 minutes from where I was, stranded,
Right.
with a car that could blow up. And your boss was like, no, you can't go. And how frustrated you were with that, in the sense where you could have smacked that man and lost your job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I respond to you already being in a high stress moment, and vice versa? How do you deal with finances? I think, you don't know that from social media.
Yeah.
If I see that you're a guy that travels a lot, what is now my expectation? Because it's different when you're traveling by yourself.
Yeah.
We be like, when you have a lot of friends that you love and people that are in your life, and they birth, like this year before I got pregnant, everybody was having a birthday trip. We was gonna be in Denver in January, Cancun in February.
Man, so many.
And so it's like when you have, like, it's different solo. But when it's two of us, you know what I'm saying? Cancun, it was $1,500 a person. Cool. But if I'm a duo, and I'm not a duo, like I'm not a two separate household, we dating duo, where you can come with your money, I come with my money. This is our house money regardless.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, it's like understanding how people deal with finances. How do you deal with stressful financial situation? It's a lot that I think you just look at people in perfection based off of how you see they've been living their life before you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I'm like, social media is just, it's giving false sense of reality and false sense of standards to people. So you have this expectation that every woman has to look a certain way. Every man has to be driving something, or
a Lamborghini,
or have a certain status, and this is what is perpetuating the not the stereotypes, but also the expectation when it comes to now getting in a relationship or just dating in general. Or if he ain't doing this and the third, or she ain't doing this and the third, then this person this person isn't a good person, or this person isn't a good person to date, or I to hell with them. Like, no, like we have to now get into reality of, what do I actually need from someone?
I think wants
What
are
am I actually
still
looking
valid too, though, because
Wants are valid, yeah.
I say that because in the city of Atlanta, everybody wants to go to brunch, everybody wants to smoke hookah,
Crying.
blah, 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 blah. Like, everybody wants to go to the club. Let me not say everybody, but there's a lot of people
the culture.
The culture is the club, hookah, brunch. I'm always down for a good brunch, and I'll hit a little hookah here and there. And I'm definitely gonna have an edible everywhere I go, if I'm not pregnant, obviously. But I don't want to go to the club. And I personally don't want to be with somebody who wants to be in the club.
Who wants to be in the club?
That does not match. That's not a perfect match for me. And not that that's wrong, that that's what you want to do. That's just not what I want to do. Now, am I going to go here and there? Yes. But my preference, my desire, my vibe ain't a club vibe. That's not something I desire to do. I never have. I've never been that person.
Yeah.
I've gone plenty of times, and every time I don't want to be there. My perfect match is Malcolm Garrison, who definitely didn't want to go in the first place and only went because I wanted to go. You know what I'm saying?
What was the last club we went to?
I think the last club
was it Houston?
Yeah, that was in Houston.
I hated it. Oh man,
Mark wanted to go the minute he was like, "Why do we even come?"
I hated it so much. I mean, because people it's 100 people in this small ass section. No one's dancing. Everybody's on their phone. And for me, anybody that like really party with me, I'm a dance. You know what I'm saying?
Life of the party,
I
y'all.
dance for real. So
I do dance.
Like, what are we doing? If we're not doing that, then we need to go home. This is stupid. Everybody trying to look too cool. But that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like I think there is needs, but there are also wants. Like I want to be with somebody who is at least similar to me. Now that's not to say if your guys came to town and they like, yo, bro, we going to the club, and you're like, babe, I'm going to the club, or I'm going to the strip club. I'm not gonna be like, how dare you? You know that's not what we do. I'm like, I don't care. Have fun. If you want to go watch the game with your guys, I'm like, can you take Kaden? Like, is it a house thing?
I definitely hate that.
That's too damn bad. That's my me time.
I know. Especially when he's older, it'd be a lot better though.
For sure. But yeah, like I think it's needs and wants, but I get what you're saying. Like, what do you need? What type of person do I want to be with? What type of person is going to make me better? And I think that's what is most important when it's talking about like who is.
It's just date with open mind. You know what I'm saying? Date more with open mind, not with these tickers. Everything doesn't have to be cookie cutter.
Everything doesn't have to be established. You
That's
know what
good.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everything doesn't always have to be all together. Because I think I would love somebody that was established, but I also love being able to build with you. So it's like even in your establishment, like what are we going to do though?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like even if we're talking about us meeting at 30.
Yeah.
With all that we've done, all that we've developed, all that we created, let's say we have our separate incomes, blah, blah, blah. But still, what are we going to do? Because if I'm going to be with you, I want to be with you.
Yeah. It makes sense. Well, got a life lesson?
Yeah. Like, be you and be open. Like, have your preferences. All of those things are great. But I do think women are taught to have this checklist that's a part of what we see in movies. Everything is curated to creating this perfect person. And a lot of times I think when you're focused on your perfect person, you don't realize that the person that you might not be expecting is the person that has the things that you don't know you need. And those are the best relationships I've found when you find somebody. Like that's what completion is. It's not what you thought. Completion is the person that meets needs that you didn't know you needed until that person was coming to meet them.
Yeah.
So you do be free, have an open mind, have your preferences, but be open to who can meet that. And if they're not to your standard at this point, who could they be? Who could they become? Who could we become together? How do you elevate their life? You know what I'm saying? I always look at me like that. Like if I'm in your life, I plan in some way, shape, or form, like for you to be better because I'm in your life. Not that I make your life better, but because of who I am, even if it's just to believe in yourself a little more today, even if it's a pick me up, even if it's a level of understanding, like how can I help you elevate and grow? And in order to do that, I have to be open-minded to whether you have all the pieces in place or not.
Yeah. I would say, I guess my life lesson is just to strip everything down, like individually for yourself. Like who are you? What are your needs? And can you meet the need of somebody else before you're looking to get into dating? But if you start dating somebody, what do I bring to the table? And what can I help this person do within their life to help them, reach the goals that they have? And by doing that, I have to be open and receptive. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's definitely some personal development stuff. Yes. But I have to be open and receptive to what it is that they bring to the table.
Idea?
Who who they are,
Mm-hmm.
what they do, whether I like it or not. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as they ain't doing something illegal,
Yeah.
you know, it's okay.
That's okay for some people.
Oh yeah, you know, whatever. But you know, just the life lesson is just, you know, let's not be so stuck and so ticky tack with everything that everybody has to be perfect when we meet them. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna have it all together. You don't even have it all together.
True.
You know, if we bring it down to its truest form, you don't have it all together. So why expect somebody else to have it all together? No matter how established you are, there are always areas that you can grow in, and that this person probably needs help growing in, and you can be that person to help them. If you choose to, but you gotta have an open mind to do it.
I know we're supposed to be wrapping up, but I have another question for you, quickly.
Yes.
Ooh.
What?
When did that change for you and me?
What?
Like what you just said, like obviously when we both met each other, we were not together for a relationship. But like, when did that change where you saw more to me than me, or more to me than just sex, or you know what I'm saying? Like, where did it change where it's like, I need this person because she makes me better, or whatever?
I think it was that year that you was graduated already, and you was home working and stuff like that, and I was still back at school playing ball, and I just knew I needed your presence. I needed you, and it was nothing else but like your presence. You brought me peace, clarity, and everything else, and I just knew something was different about you at that point in time. Like, this is my person. You know what I'm saying? You just know when somebody's your person. You are my person, and you wasn't physically there all the time. Of course, you couldn't be, but that's when I knew, when we had that separation. Because so sometimes, like, the period of separation actually brings your heart closer. That's kind of what it was.
That was sweet.
Yeah. So hopefully your boy gets lucky tonight.
And this nigga said, you better get some cutty tonight. I got some cutty last night.
Okay, this has been another one.
Oh my gosh, it's been another episode of the So Let's Talk About It podcast. I am your co-host, Brittany Donnell.
And I'm Malcolm Garrison.
And you can follow me on all platforms at Brittany Donnell.
You can follow me at Malcolm_2_Garrison.
And you can follow the show at So Let's Talk About It pod on all platforms. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you like this episode, we want to hear from you. If you're listening on Spotify, we have the questions where you guys can write your thoughts and give us your feedback on this episode and talk about what you thought in regards to what we talked about tonight. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate and write us a review,
please,
so that we can continue to expand our message and our reach with what we want to talk about with the So Let's Talk About It podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace. Bum,